Hey, Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome to Let's Play Civilization 6 as the Cree, where things are going very well. Now, the last time we left off, we had chosen a direction for our civilization, which was tourism, and we had started aligning our civilization in that direction. And now this episode, it's going to be all about the execution. In fact, one might say, now that it's turned 200, we have entered into the glorious churn. That's right, we are churning butter, baby. Which means we need to get things like our Renaissance walls up, we need to get our infrastructure up, in particular walls. And the reason we're getting walls up is because we are just on the cusp of picking up conservation, which is the all-important wall tourism tech, which kind of gets the ball rolling on your late game tourism, as far as I'm concerned. Now, some of my cities do have their walls built, and it's also time that we started getting our water park, which is going to start boosting our amenities and also boosting our culture. I'm a little bit light on era score. I would like to avoid a dark age if at all possible. There are 10 turns left, so picking up things like admirals will be helpful for preventing the severe negative effects of that. I can also pick up a little bit of culture and or gold and religious pressure. Oh, look who beat everyone to this spot. Everyone was coming here, and I managed to get here first. Oh man, that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. There is nothing better than beating somebody to a location like this. Sorry, I was scanning around. I can't find another place. I have one more settler, but I don't know where to send them. I guess I could send them over here. But man, that is an absolute god tier troll that I should be able to get that city down now before they can prevent me. Oh, that's beautiful. I managed to get there just in time, like literally on the cusp of them settling here. And I beat them by one turn, bro. One turn, and I managed to yoink the Mount Vesuvius era score, guaranteeing me a normal age. That is just tasty. It is delicious. I can taste it. I'm chewing on that moment right now. I'm digesting it. I'm really feeling it in my bones. Oh, that is a moment that cannot be replicated. I think that is a moment that you could put on a shelf in like in a reading room. That is majestic. It is beautiful. It is unparalleled Schadenfreude, Schadenfreude, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it Schadenfreude. But man, oh man, am I happy to have stuck it to the man, where the man in this case is actually an AI robot sent to try to prevent me from winning my game. But still, I stuck it to them, right? You know what I mean? We managed to stick it to the man in this case being a robot. Just for clarification. Also, I love how advanced these cities are getting just so quickly. But Auckland is busted. Like, Auckland is ghost busted. And you know what? I think ghost busted should come back, okay? We've all been saying busted. It needs to be ghost busted, okay? I don't care if you disagree with me, Morbus. I don't care if you put editing notes in. Ghost busted is stupid, okay? I don't care, all right? We're bringing back busted, except it's for ghosts. Hot take, I did watch the new Ghostbuster movie, and it was just a movie. It wasn't great. It was just okay. It was just a movie, you know? It wasn't... I kind of watched it and I was like, this could have been an email. This movie wasn't that important. We are finally getting our Ferris wheels, giving us a tasty 2 tourism each, as well as 3 culture and +2 amenities from entertainment, which should start bumping up the happiness of my cities, which has dipped slightly. I wonder, are there luxuries for sale? There are not. Now, question, do I have room for more great works? And I do have a lot of room for great works of writing. So let's pop in with our huge economy to come in and grab ourselves a few great works of writing. Yeah, give me those great works of writing. So I now own all of the worlds, at least everyone who's willing to trade with me. Like, she hates me for reasons I don't fully understand. Apparently she's unhappy that I'm trading with her. Is there a lack of trade between us and that's upsetting her? It could be that. But I would like to buy her great works. But unfortunately, she just hates my guts. And that's a bit of a problem because she has a lot of great works. So I think what I might need to do is to try to get a trade route between me and her to see if we can kind of like ameliorate that little bit of a disagreement between us. I am admittedly beset by a lack of great works of writing. It looks like this city is more or less built. I could probably pop down one extra fishing tile here, but you know, it's not necessary. Ooh, I should definitely get those turtles improved as well. But man, my gold income, man, there's something really majestic about playing a coastal game and just making so much money. I could build a hermitage. I don't think I want to build a hermitage. If I'm looking at my capital and what I could build, it's essentially fully built, which might suggest going for harbor or shipping things, or maybe getting just cracking out the occasional pre-build on a builder to get it ready for the next step. I think there could be a theater square here in my capital. It's not a bad spot for one. It's getting +3. So that's something for me to consider in my capital down the line. Maybe in 4 turns when it hits a new population level. We got our art museum in here. We don't really need anything else. I will go ahead and place the water park. And the reason we're building the water park is for the adjacency on the theater squares, as well as the amenities, giving us just straight up yield boosts. You could maybe make the argument that I'd be better off running theater square projects. And that is an argument that you could make. And I would immediately discard your argument and call you a nerd and tell you to educate these nuts, because I don't care what you have to say. But I mean, it's an argument you could make if I was, if I was being childishly, if I was just being randomly childish for no reason. That would be what I would say. Yeah. Let's go ahead and build a fishing boat here on the turtles. Look at that turtle tile, turtle power. Okay, call me a mutant ninja because I've got turtle power, baby. We do go to the industrial era in a few turns. We are getting our first archaeological museums. In fact, I should probably go through my cities and where I have archaeological museums available, like here, make sure that I'm getting them in a reasonable amount of time. Now, I do think that the walls come first, but I've got 3 archaeologists on the way now, maybe 4. Sitting on 4 envoys, and I do have Kilwa Kisawani, so I would ideally like to get double suzerainties. And Candy here, if I were to put 2 points into Candy, I would have double faith suzerainty, which would be another 15% boost, bringing me up from about 240 faith per turn to 280 faith per turn. That's a lot of faith. Now, the other one I would like is the culture suzerainties here. I'm going to take Ayutthaya here first, because that'll allow me to turn my culture into more production, and then I'll get to work on Vilnius as well. My culture is starting to jump up significantly. I still do think that the amount of power offered by city-states is a little bit too high. That's kind of a take that I still hold in the game. I don't necessarily think that it's like necessary to fix it immediately, but it's definitely a take that I sustain. And honestly, it's a take that sustains me through the dark, cold nights of winter. If I'm ever having trouble, oh yeah, military alliance, thank you. If I'm ever having trouble making it through like a rough night, like I'm feeling sad or something like that, I just remember, man, think about how those city-states really make your empire pop off in Civ 6. And then I go to sleep with a smile on my face. We got our harbor in here, so we can go ahead and start working on other things. I can use my gold to instantaneously purchase a lighthouse and a shipyard in here. Now the city is popping off with production, and we can go ahead and get that holy site omega fast. Although I do think the ancient walls, medieval walls, Renaissance walls pipeline is probably a little bit more important for me to make sure that we are hitting those numbers. This frigate presents a large problem for me. Let us make an ironclad so I can use my ironclad to kill the frigate and actually do something useful. There is a forest fire here, so I don't want to do that, but I will harvest this cattle to boost the city's population. I mean, why wouldn't I? You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't I? Dude, these omega fishing boat yields, this is insanity. Like, we are omega popping right now. I think I need to give a lot more respect to Hixant Dracones, because this city has 17.8 production just a few turns after it was founded. That's a really respectable production number for a city that is that new. Like, the actual ramp that growth gives you is kind of insane. And for a long time, I disrespected, and I'll admit this, okay, I disrespected amenities and I disrespected growth. Call me reformed, okay? Call me a believer, because now I respect growth and I respect amenities in equal measure. Both of them are actually incredibly important for the development of your empire, and they cannot be neglected. But one thing I definitely don't neglect is how good these shipyards are. Oh, 8 production. Bruh. I need a builder in here to actually continue to develop this city, but Jesus Christ. These yields. And yes, I do. Whenever I say yields, I want Morbus to put the little yee dinosaur up, okay? I am your boss. I can request things like that, even if it annoys you. Yields. Looks like we did manage to get rid of the frigate over here, so we can have a little bit of fun with ourselves. Ooh, a plantation here. Don't mind if I do. That's a 6 food, 4 production, 5 gold plantation. Excuse me, princess. Holy macaroni. We're talking big numbers. You know what I need? I need like a couple of missionaries to spread my religion to my newly settled cities. Let me just go grab a couple of missionaries to spread my religion. I don't think it's the most necessary thing to do, but you know, it's helpful, it's useful. Ooh, I'm seeing some AI units with infantry. Infantry? I guess I'm not going to be declaring war on anyone. All right, it's time to get prepped for our first natural zone here. Let's go ahead and swap the tiles. Yoink, yoink, yoinka. This one will belong to Pee Kisses. This one here will belong to Piawis Awasis, and then this one here will belong to Wikaso Kisayan. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Let's go ahead and come over here with our big bazungas, aka missionaries. I don't know why I said bazungas there. Listen, sometimes, you know, when you're ad-libbing a voiceover, you just start saying random crap. And then you listen back to yourself and like, what are you talking about, bro? And we're getting our theater square in a capital, which is good. Do I need another spy? I could use another trader. I'm not... Yes, I want a trader to be able to trade with whatever her name is, because she just hates me, man, and I don't know why. I need to figure it out. Bazinga! We settle the city. We buy the builder. We will deal with that builder next turn. I do need to, like, rest up a little bit. I've been kind of burning through my cash real quick, which has, you know, it's not bad that I'm burning through. It means I'm using it and like getting value out of it and compounding my value. But it also means that I'm running through it pretty quick and I'm kind of broke right now. But we do have conservation. Welcome to the future, baby. Most important thing coming from this is the naturalist, getting us national parks to get a lot of tourists. And the second most important part of this is the 3 envoys. Is this ability that gives us 3 envoys. It allows us to build national parks. And it also gives us the ability to plant woods with our builders. And it gives tourism from walls. And you get essentially how the wall tourism works here. If I open up my capital and pop in here, you can see from the ancient walls, I get 1 tourism after advancing to the conservation civic. From medieval walls, I get 2 tourism after advancing to the conservation civic. And from Renaissance walls, I get 3 tourism after advancing to the conservation civic. That is a total of 1, 3, 6 tourism per city, which is pretty respectable. Like if you consider that a great work of writing gives you 2 tourism each, getting 6 tourism from a city is not bad. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not amazing, it's not mind-blowing, it's not game-changing, but it's worth optimizing around and making use of. Also, I totally forgot I thought I had limes plugged in. I actually cannot believe that I didn't have limes plugged in while I was building these walls. What is wrong with me? Oh my omega. I'm omega bad at the game, bro. And that is it. So don't build your walls without limes plugged in. I actually just wasted so much production. I thought I had it plugged in. We are getting electricity, which is going to give us access to seaports, and that gets us 1 step closer to computers, which gives us a 25% tourism boost across our empire. Now, it's important to note that 25% tourism is a base tourism boost. So let's say I was making 4 tourism in my capital. The 25% boost would turn that into 5 tourism. Then that tourism will go on and be applied to each civilization individually. So I would be applying 5 tourism to Wilhelmina here, and then that tourism will be multiplied by these different modifiers. So right now, my tourism modifier is 0 against Wilhelmina, but against Cleopatra, it's plus 50%. So that 5 tourism becomes 7.5 tourism. So you can see here, stacking tourism modifiers together in an intricate chain is actually really key to winning a culture victory. You have to kind of beeline and make sure you get access to these incredibly important abilities. And unfortunately, one of my spies has been captured and he was killed. That's unfortunate. He was in Zanzibar. He failed his mission to, break down the suzerainty of this. Although I actually was successful and did break the suzerainty. So I could pop in 3 envoys here and bada bing, bada boom, move 10 of my cities from being unhappy to content, which is a huge yield boost empire-wide, by the way. We can also start slapping down, laying down those forests. Let's go ahead and get naturalist here. 1 naturalist. And remember, we are in the theocracy government, which makes buying these things a lot cheaper. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves a naturalist and a naturalist. Now, was there another one? There was another one over here in my capital that I wanted. Grab myself a naturalist. We got our 4 naturalists. Cost us about 2,000, a little over maybe close to 3,000 faith, but we had a huge amount of faith banked, so that's not a big deal. This is why I like going for religion relatively early in the game. It can be a really flexible opener. Especially if you have a coastal game, because the coastal thing can kind of make up for the lack of growth in your empire. We have entered into the modern era and we have unlocked electricity, giving us access to that seaport. This will give us +2 gold on all of our coastal tiles, which means we're 1 step closer to the city of, well, whatever the city is called, Wiccasakisayan, from being in its final form. We just need to get the seaport in here, and this city has near omega yields. Let's go ahead and pop in here. I think we go for Heartbeat of Steam here. This will get us the most era score. We're building a lot of industrial era buildings, and we would like for our next era to be a golden age. And it's actually quite important that we get a golden age in our next era, because that will be the area in which we can get double tourism from our national parks, which I think I don't have to explain why doubling the tourism from the thing that I'm getting the most tourism from is pretty important. Aha, okay, it's time. We can already lay down our first 2 national parks. So boom. Very first national park. There's the 4 era score that will contribute to that golden age. And what we want to do here is try to maximize the appeal of these tiles. And one of the ways we can maximize the appeal of these tiles is building districts that give positive appeal effects. Districts that give positive appeal effects include the Holy Site, the Theatre Square, and the Preserve and the Entertainment Complex. All of those give positive appeal. Also, mines give negative appeal. So we're going to want to get rid of this mine and replace it with like a lumber mill or something. So we're going to have to come through here, rework our land, retool things, and build them. Now, something I get asked all the time is, Potato, how does like the rules of the naturalist work? And it's actually really, really simple. You need 4 tiles in a diamond formation, which is 1 tile here, 1 tile here, and then 2 in between, all owned by the same city. So all of these tiles are owned by the city. You can check that out in the Empire map mode, which is key 9 on your keyboard. All 4 of these tiles are owned by the city, and they all have an appeal of 3 or higher, I believe, is the limit, and none of the tiles can be improved. And then bish bash bosh, you can lay down a national park. And one of the beautiful things about the national park tiles is that if you put 2 national parks together, they kind of merge in a beautiful way, which I really, really like. I actually just realized that I wrote out a really good email from Jacob, and I think I forgot to read it. So I'm going to paraphrase slightly here for Jacob, who is a member of the Inupiat tribe that is located in Alaska and Canada. Jacob told me that growing up as a Native American was a challenging experience. His social life suffered and continues to suffer immensely as a result of the way he's treated by some people around him. Not only to do with his darker skin color, but also his native identity. His culture is something that is actually used against him, which is really just awful to hear about. And it mirrors a lot of the experiences that I've heard from people of color, where you feel otherized when you're growing up. And, that has a profound effect on you and your worldview. So I really feel for Jacob's experience here. And I think that it's important that we hear about these experiences so that we can align our values generationally. We can't change things instantaneously, but maybe if we go on to have our own families, we can instill more egalitarian and inclusive values into the next generation. At the very least, make them step away from outrage and senseless hatred. But in spite of his treatment, Jacob says that he's proud of his culture. He grew up learning about the history of his people. He was being told stories of times of prosperity and also really dark times, like trying to survive disease and genocide. This gave Jacob a bit of a fascination with Native American history, stories, and basically everything to do with Native American books and folklore. He actually recommended the book The Wisdom of the Native Americans by Kent Nirburn, which is a book full of quotes from native chiefs and elders. And there's quite a few books like this that you could pick up from various generations. And I would recommend, like, if you're interested, you should pick them up. And I thought it would be interesting if I would take a quote from the book, which I have ordered for myself upon Jacob's recommendation. Honestly, a lot of these quotes could fit really well into Civ 6. And this quote that I'm about to read comes from Chief Seattle of the Suquamish or Duwamish culture, or maybe both, I'm not sure. What is a man without the beasts? If all the beasts were gone, men would die from the great loneliness of spirit. For whatever happens to the beast also happens to man. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth. Now, tell me that quote wouldn't fit amazingly well in the environmentalism civic. In fact, I would be curious to see if we could maybe make a mod that replaced all of the quotes in the game with quotes from native elders or just Native American tradition. That could be a fun project for someone with a bit of time on their hands to work on. Now, Jacob also had a personal story to share about his mother. She was injured in a workplace accident when he was relatively young, which has unfortunately left her borderline bedridden for a large proportion of his life. The consequence of this is that she couldn't be present for most of Jacob's sort of milestone experiences, you know, things like birthdays, graduations, musical performances, and sports events. These were all things that Jacob could feel her absence. And he says being able to have a deep connection to his native identity helped him deal with the emotional fallout of this and sort of deal with, you know, the feelings and things that you would go through having to experience what Jacob and his family has to go through. He said that the teachings of the elders said that no matter how terrible the things are that life throws at you, life is still beautiful. He actually gave me a quote himself that helped summarize his feelings. This comes from Santana, who is also known as White Bear, and I think he was a Kiowa tribe leader. I don't want to settle. I want to roam over the prairies. There I feel free and happy. But when we settle down, we grow pale and die. He says this to him means that we shouldn't settle for what we have and what was given to us. We need to roam free and adapt to life. For when we settle and accept defeat, that is when our spirit and life truly dies. And honestly, that quote from Jacob could just have easily been slapped down into a book of wise sayings or wisdom. And I think ultimately one of the threads that came from what Jacob's experience was that he just wanted to be seen as a normal person, that native people are just people, most of whom who live normal everyday lives like Americans in cities, going to school, working jobs and making merriment with their friends and family. And I hope that listening to Jacob's story and his experiences has given you guys something. You know, maybe you got something from this. Maybe you have experiences similar to Jacob, but from a different culture or an ethnicity, or maybe you're from a different tribe, or maybe you're from a different nation. So whatever it is, I know I'll remember this email fondly from Jacob. And thank you so much, Jacob, for sending it in. Every piece of native experience that we can personally gather and really sit down and comprehend will give us individually a better understanding of the individual experience that a Native American person could have. And now it's also important, like I said many times, that these are individual experiences. It's hard to generalize. There are commonalities, but it is hard to paint with a broad brush. So we're doing our best to preserve nature and live with the world. I think I will pick up, I might skip military engineering. No, I'll pick up military engineering. Why not? Trying to think about, what I actually want is computers. Right, I want computers for flood barriers, even though I don't think there's any flooding in this world. But more importantly, I want that 25% tourism boost across my entire empire. That's like the most important part. Any coal buyers? People won't buy much coal, but I can sell a little bit of it. Sumeria might be interested in open border stuff. Let's see, what would you like to buy? Okay. Also, what I want to look for here is potentially purchasing luxuries. No luxuries available that I don't already have. I guess I just have most of the luxuries. Let's start leveling up my next spy. We'll grab ourselves a siphon funds in the... I actually don't remember who we're stealing from. I think it's Persia. Now, we can just about barely trade with the Netherlands, and my hope is that that trade route with her will fix this negative relationship. Because I think if we check her agenda, she tries to maximize trade routes. She likes civilizations that trade with her and dislikes those who do not. So this might move the friendship here a little bit more move the needle the direction that we want it to go is my hope here. In terms of production towards buildings, this would have been perfect like an era ago. I could have built all my walls like Omega fast. I think it would be nice to boost city centers anyway, just because I'm still building walls. I do want the World's Fair to go through, so I'll put a few votes into that. In terms of diplomatic victory points, I think I would like to have a monopoly on that, so I'll spend 10 votes on myself. And then otherwise, I would like to be able to steal funds at a higher level. This would allow us to maybe generate a little bit more gold via stealing and give us a lower chance of our spies dying. And it looks like everything I wanted went through, except for Scotland actually swiped the win on diplomatic victory points, which is not a big deal. Diplomatic victory is not the direction we're going here. It was one of the directions I was considering. With those points, it would have put me on 10, and then maybe, I could have decided to go for the Statue of Liberty. I could still go for the Statue of Liberty. Nobody is building it. It's not available right now. If I had won that diplomatic proposal, I would have built the Statue of Liberty, but I think now the fact that I lost that vote puts me all in with regards to the tourism victory. So that's where I'm at for that one. We got our Ferris wheel in here. I don't need to get an archaeologist. No, I could pick up a spy really quickly. It would be nice to get a seaport in here. We are working a lot of coastal tiles. It's also worth 2 food and 8 gold. So that seems absolutely worth it. And also, I think an aquarium would give me a significant science boost in the city. So I will go ahead and build up that aquarium. Just so I can, again, feature this city in the thumbnail of just how ridiculously overpowered this coastal city is. This city is missing builders in a very big way. I'm going to crack out one quick builder here. Before I go ahead and get the seaport and aquarium to maximize my yields. I'm loving the 1 to 2 to 3 turn building on walls. Now this is a little bit spooky. I can grab Pingala. Pingala got neutralized. Oh, well, it needs to be in my capital. I'll really quickly yoink Victor and move him to the city with negative loyalty, just to keep it happy. It'll grow eventually enough to be able to actually stand and hold its own loyalty. But for now, it needs that little bit of assistance. We also picked up our very first artifact, and we're going to want as many of those from as many people's territories as possible. The greater diversity of eras and people you get artifacts from, the greater the chance you have of being able to theme most, if not all, of your museums. Perfect. We have access to nationalism, giving us the ability to combine 2 units together into a single one. So if we do get into a war, we will have that in our back pocket. When it comes to my capital, am I working enough coastal tiles to justify a seaport? Maybe. Yeah, I don't think so. And so instead, I will get to work on the amphitheater and art museum and all that sort of jazz. My tourism has reached a very healthy number. It's at 133 per turn. And we are slowly climbing up the list of tourism performers. Now, the one thing we do have to contend with is Wilhelmina has gained a lot of tourists really, really quickly. However, we're going to be doing a very hard push on Wilhelmina at Cold War. Like, the entirety of the next episode will probably be dedicated to just swarming her with rock bands and hitting every single city that she has with rock band after rock band after rock band, just continuously pummeling her civilization with our heavy metal and our devil music. You know what I need? I need somebody to implement a mod that, like the Information Era, one of the great musicians is Jack Black. Hell yeah. And we need like the music, whatever they do with the, when you use a rock band, it needs to be like a Tenacious D lick, like a riff. You know what I'm saying? Any Tenacious D fans in the chat? Tenacious D fans, check. I don't think they're the greatest band in the world, but I just really, really enjoy them. Like, it's a fun band. Like, Tenacious D is a fun band to be a fan of, you know? Like, it's an enjoyable experience to go see them live. It's an enjoyable experience to, have a quasi-parasocial relationship with Jack Black, who I would absolutely recommend modeling your goofy persona after. You know, if you want to be a silly, fun guy, Jack Black is like a good template to follow. Just be a little bit crazy, be full of energy, but also be really authentic and fun and just like enthusiastic. And you will be like, honestly, actually, unironically, now that I'm thinking about it, like if you're like, man, who do I want to be and like what do I want my personality to be? Just like be Jack Black and most people will like you. There's a reason people love being around him. and love watching him and just love his performances. He's just a really energetic, full of beans kind of guy. Now, I'm personally curious about, like, I want to know the Jack Black when he's not on stage. You know, like, does he just like veg out on a weekend, just completely like, not necessarily like a completely different person, but is he significantly different when he's not like performing? Because obviously, I think when you're a performer in any capacity, right, even on YouTube, you kind of amp up parts of your personality a little, right? Like, I'm a little bit more high energy than when I'm not doing YouTube. Like, if I'm talking a little bit more normally, I might talk a little bit like this. I might lisp a little bit more. I might kind of hem and haw and think a little bit more carefully. And I might talk a little bit more with my accent and a little bit less with the high-pitched sort of high-energy voice. But the high-pitched, high-energy voice really helps me occupy the space that I want to be in when I'm creating videos. I want, like, when I watch videos, I want to watch someone who's enthusiastic and authentic. So, I don't know. That's kind of like where I'm coming from. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you throwing down? Are you dancing with the devil? Are you dingling with the berry? Tell me, please, what is going on in your mind? Ooh, another beautiful turtle tile. Delicious. We have access to urbanization, which does mean we can build neighborhoods, although I think this might be a neighborhood-free game. I avoid neighborhoods on coastal games, even though you can get a significant amount of tourism from neighborhoods via the shopping mall that's for tourism. It's not bad. It ends up being about 6 tourism, which can eventually get multiplied to about 12 tourism, depending on the modifiers you have with other civilizations. Speaking of modifiers to other civilizations, I do need to make sure, I think now that I'm earning a significant portion of, the word is like failing. I keep getting close to the word, but I can't quite get the word. A significant portion of tourism, I need to have trade routes with every player on the map in order to maintain a plus 25% and eventually a plus 75% boost to my tourism yields against that person. Capiche? Understand? Now, I don't know how many archaeological museums this map can bear, but I am going to go for as many archaeological museums as possible because I think they're just good. I think archaeological museums are just straight up good and perhaps better than art museums. Now, Wilhelmina does not hate me as much as she used to. So perhaps if I time a gift close to when she is getting ready to renew her denouncement of me, I might actually be able to prevent her from denouncing me and be able to get open borders with her, be able to buy her great works of writing, be able to cripple her culture. Her culture is kind of insane right now. I'm fighting against it, but it is a uphill struggle. Also, I'm going to go ahead and pop over to Scotland and steal some of their artifacts. My amenities are now content, so we've made progress there. My tourism is almost up to 200 per turn, which is very, very respectable, especially when you consider I still don't have computers, and that'll be a significant boost. Maybe I can buy a lighthouse and a shipyard in here, and I can. That's a thing of beauty. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We did get fishing boats in here. Now, the thing about this coal mine is it's basically my only coal mine. However, it's also... Wait, I'm using power? Oh, right, I got a factory over here. The problem with this coal mine is that it's giving me negative appeal on this thing here. Maybe if I find another source of coal from somewhere, I will delete this mine, but you know what? I can buy my coal. I'm going to delete this in favor of getting just that +1 appeal on these tiles. Because that's a significant amount of tourism. That's +1 appeal on 3 different tiles. Now, the way that the tourism works, if you open up the tourism lens by pressing 7 on your keyboard, basically what you do is in order to see how much tourism a national park is producing, you add up all these numbers in the appeal map mode. This is the more lens map mode, which adds extra functionality to here. Otherwise, if you want to know the appeal of a tile, you can just hover over it and then see down the bottom there it says appeal breathtaking bracket 4. But you add up these numbers, right? 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14, plus 7 is 21. So when I go to the tourism screen, you can see here it is generating 21 tourism per turn. And so things like removing those obstacles that are in the way of the object reaching its maximal potential is always worth it. Oh, there's a couple of artifacts out here in the deep wilds that I could grab. So when it comes to national parks, your goal is always the optimization of like the total amount of appeal that's in the national park, and then adding modifiers on top. So Civilization 6 is really just like an optimization puzzle game. Like if you really get down to brass tacks. Speaking of optimization puzzle, it's about time that we get curator so we can get a little bit of extra tourism from our capital. I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to pick up. No, I think we just make our way towards curator. We have all of our individual governors mostly providing housing and amenities for us. Let's begin the conversion of our new cities. I may need a little bit more in the in the faith spreading department, just like a couple extra missionaries to get that spreading going. And I tell you what, I'll also go ahead and grab myself an inquisitor, because I do see a couple of my cities have been flipped to someone else's religion, and this is obviously something I don't want. Oh, I forgot to settle down here. Well, I guess I'll just like let that city be. I won't bother with that. It feels a little bit late into the game to settle that one now. I mean, theoretically, I could probably buy a settler, right? How much will it cost me? 2,500 gold. That's not too bad. I could do it, but I don't think I will. And so now in here, you'll see if I build this woods, it'll actually boost all of these tiles by +1, which means this city will now be producing 24 tourism from this one national park, which is very respectable. I think this might actually be my best national park. 19, 18, and 18. Yeah, this one's really, really good. So once we have actually researched computers, this will jump up significantly from like 24 tourism to like 30-ish. I think what's 25%? It's 5 + 1. Yeah, it'll go straight up to 30 tourism, which is like a huge upgrade. Now, do I have access to... No, I don't have radio yet, so I can't build sea resorts. But we are close to that. We are very, very, very close to that. Let's make sure we're trading with the Zulu to make sure that we're getting that 25% tourism boost against them. We're currently 4th when it comes to tourism, and I'm hoping that by the end of this episode, we're close to 1st. We have access to flight now, which allows us to get tourism from any tile improvement that provides culture. I don't think it's any tile improvement. They might have changed it. I think it's most tile improvements with culture. There was a couple of exceptions way back in the day, so I don't know if every exception has been accounted for now. But basically any tile improvement that provides culture should theoretically also now provide a little boost to our tourism. Although I don't have that many on me right now. Ooh, Edinburgh has flipped independent, as is Dumfries. Now, is this flipping to me? A free city? Why, please, do not hesitate to allow me to take that city off your hands. Hell yeah. Okay, we got an archaeological museum in the capital. Let's get our archaeologist. Now that is something exciting, to get a city for free. For free! A rarity, a rare delicacy in this modern age is getting a city for free. You know what I need to research? I really need to research cultural heritage, but I want to wait until I have a themed building to do it. I also want to exhaust all like the land Great Works. Let's get some barbarian artifacts now. If we go to the Great Works screen, we can see, if we go to the theming options, what we want is to have the colors match, but the numbers be different, right? So you can see here, we're actually at, we're one artifact away from theming this museum. This is the extended Great Works screen mod. It should be linked in my UI collection below the video. And basically what it does is it just makes theming your museums like incredibly trivial. It is honestly, it's one of the most important mods in order to make your game, like your tourism games, so much easier, especially if you're doing a Great Work based one. Things are going really nicely for me here. More and more archaeological museums are finishing. My tourism is now well over 200 per turn, which is exactly where we want to be. Slight worry about infantry. I'm not too well prepared to actually deal with those. I did get a level up here. Ace Driver is good. It gives your spies better chance of escaping. It gives them that probability of escaping from danger. Okay, we've managed to take control of mass media, which does give us the ability to do Cristo Redentor. I don't think we want Cristo Redentor this game. We don't have enough coastline to make going for seaside resorts really worth it. Most of our tourism is going to be coming from going for a rock band push. So I'm going to prioritize picking up cultural heritage for shipwrecks, and then doing a rock band push ASAP. We do kind of need to get out ahead of Wilhelmina here, because if she plugs in music censorship, don't remember where that card is. She may already have it, actually. Well, she's around here, so I think I need to ramp up my cultural production in order to get ahead of her ability to do music censorship. So that's going to be a big theme here for me, is this big push for culture especially, because she's who I need to target with my music censorship. So let me see. I don't need more builders right now. I think we're happy on the builder front. Naval infrastructure card is really, really good. I could plug in liberalism, and I could also plug in Republican legacy, and this would give me a significant amount of amenities. Do I want to change anything here? No, I don't think I need to change anything. I think I'm quite happy with the way things are working for me here. I could, in theory, plug in military research. My science is quite good thanks to my religion, so it's not necessary. I could take out veterancy, Those are things I may well do in a little while, but I think for now I'm just going to prioritize getting more amenities and boosting as many cities up to higher levels here, because that's going to ultimately lead to more yields. Now let's purchase the lighthouse, purchase the shipyard, and then work on the Renaissance walls and the seaport, and then the water park, of course, naturally. We're sitting on 2 envoys, and we want to be suzerain of 2 of these cultural city-states, because we'll go from 300 culture per turn, boom, instantly to 370 culture per turn. So that is the power of Kilwa Kisawani, okay? With all your multipliers and modifiers, it's really, really important to get that double suzerainty wherever you can when you are playing a Kilwa game. And we are playing a Kilwa game, let me tell you that. I'll tell you that for $1. I'm still very light on spies. That's something I definitely need to get a hold of. I'm also quite light on trade routes, although right now I think I mostly need to get a trade route up with Sumeria and Persia. So in order to facilitate that, I'm actually going to come in here and buy myself 2 traders in this city for Sumeria and Persia. There's radio giving me access to the broadcast center. I may want to go for broadcast centers here. It really depends on how important that extra culture is. I don't know if the extra culture is going to win me the game. So we may skip them here. And more admirals is just always welcome because it's era score. We want to trade with Persia for sure. And then also with Sumeria. And so that's the key takeaway here. That's going to boost our tourism per turn by a significant amount. Go ahead and extract that artifact for me. So let me think about how good these broadcast centers will be. These will be 12 culture broadcast centers once I hit Ayutthaya and Vilnius level 3 envoys. And I am getting cultural heritage, so I will be able to hit that very soon. That's 12 culture per turn. 12 culture per turn is like... I don't know, 2.5% of my current culture earnings. It would increase my power consumption. It's quite a hefty power consumption as well. Is this really worth it? I think it could be. What if I just got Broadway instead? You know, I could have built the Mahabodhi temple here. That's kind of funny to me. I didn't realize, because this usually goes, I could have built this. And if I were to build this plus the Statue of Liberty, I would put me up to 14 diplomatic victory points. You know what? Let's go. It's a Mario. Let's get the Mahabodhi temple and see what we can do. I should have put it next to the theater square. I'm bad. I'm bad at the game. Listen, you heard it here first. I am terrible at this video game that I play as my job. That is the truth. That is the truth of the matter. But here's the thing. I personally think that it's really important if you're going to be a leader, right? Even if you're playing like a Civ game. These games, it's not about playing slow and methodically and figuring out the most perfect, most optimal decision. It's about making reasonably optimal decisions and then being aware of your mistakes. That's what I think this game is about. That's where I think this game really, really shines, at least when I'm playing it, right? That's when I feel most excited, most engaged with the game, is when I'm doing something and I'm making mistakes, but I'm learning. I personally feel, and maybe this is like a character flaw, or maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe it's a downside, right? But I personally feel that if I'm not making forward progress in my game, I feel like I'm stagnating. I'd like to continue my game. I like to push my game forward. I like to keep going forward. You like Rocky says, you got to keep moving forward. You can't sit back on your laurels. You can't wait around. Life isn't going to wait for you. You got to get out there. You got to do... I don't know where I'm going with this. Listen, we're in the churn, okay? Accept the churn and burn. Accept it into your life, accept it into your heart, and do not fight the churn. Now, I could get a Crystal Redentor here. Now, if I went for the Crystal Redentor, let's just get it. It's 13 turns of production. It's a pretty good wonder. It'll help us out. It'll give us a little tourism. It'll give us a little zuzz to our zhuzh. You know what I'm saying? Okay? You probably don't know what I'm saying because I'm not really saying anything. That's the reality, and that's the reality we have come to accept here at the PotatoMcWhiskey experience. Okay, we have a theater square festival completed. Do I want to go for the broadcast center? Man, this is a tough choice. I'm really hemming and hawing over this. You know what? I think the great artist and great musician points actually do make this worth it, because I could crank out great works of music. Also, I should be paying attention to the great merchants and the great engineers at this point in the game, because they can start to provide tourism. So that's something I should keep abreast of. Excuse me, Ironclad, get the hell out of here. Nobody asked. Nobody asked and nobody wanted. He pillaged my lighthouse. That son of a gun. How dare he? Get your hands off my lighthouse. Eating a meal. A succulent Chinese meal. Sorry, that video, the succulent Chinese meal guy, cracks me up. It is the funniest thing. The guy has just gone full memes, no holds barred. The second he sees cameras, he's just like, let's put on a show. And he's an absolute legend for it. Now, do I repeat my route to Rack of Death? I think it's reasonable to continue to have international trade routes to maximize the efficiency of my build. Because I'm bad to the bone. Mahabodhi Temple, Yoinkarino, 2 free apostles. Don't mind if I do. And now we have access to cultural heritage, which will give us double tourism, great works of art and artifacts. More importantly, it's the shipwrecks that I'm looking for. That'll give me a lot more room to actually use archaeologists. Like if I click on an archaeologist, see if I can find one. If I scan around, yeah, you can see like there's a shipyard over here, shipwreck here, shipwreck here. There'll be a couple of shipwrecks around the place, so you can make use of them pretty easily. Now we have Mahabodhi Temple, and don't forget, wonders are worth like just a little scooch of tourism. Like that's 7 tourism per turn. Not amazing, but it's equivalent to, for example, one of the tiles of my national parks. Now, is it worth it in terms of actual production cost? Probably not, if we're going to be frank and honest with each other. But it's not completely pointless. All right, let's have a look. See here, Pound Maker. Here we go. 3. Oh, ancient artifacts. Oh no, these are classicals. Oh no, I have been very, very unfortunate. I cannot match the colors that I need to. Yeah, I need to gather up more great works. Need to gather up more artifacts. More artifacts required, sir. We have not found enough yet in order to achieve our objectives. Here's a pretty big milestone. We just picked up computers to get that 25% tourism boost, as well as flood barriers. I don't think we have any tiles that are flood barrierable. Like if I just scan through my cities, I don't see a single city that actually needs flood barriers, and we're an entirely coastal game. So yeah, I don't think we need to do that. If you're wondering how I do the city scan thing, by the way, I just fix my eyes upon this section here of the screen, of the city center section. I'm looking for flood barriers. And when I first started doing it, I had to do it pretty slow. And then I'm using my city cycle hotkey on that one. I use the right bracket and left bracket. You can cycle through your cities pretty effectively. And when you get really, really good at it, you could just stare here and then tap this thing, and your pattern recognition will spot the flood barrier pretty quickly. And then you can like see if any of your cities need one at a glance, and then go back through and look for the ones that do. I think it's also possible to use the multi-queue for this kind of thing. Like you can just scan, you can also do this, you can scan through these and go, oh, okay, all right, we check the city, this city doesn't need one of this. So like there's multiple ways you can do that technique. I like my technique because it looks kind of cool. It's like the closest thing that you'll get to like a high APM pro move in Civ. Big thing now for my tourism victory is, can we get a biosphere? So let's have a little bit of a thinky bear about the biosphere. Let's talk about the biosphere's exact placements. It's plus 200% power for offshore wind farms, solar farms, wind farms, geothermals, and hydroelectric dams. They provide tourism equivalent with their power. It must be built along a river adjacent to a neighborhood district. Okay, so we have in here a pretty competent river that we could grab ourselves. A plan is formulating. So if I were to put a neighborhood here, and then I popped a dam over here, I could quite competently get myself a biosphere, and then this would give me another avenue for tourism generation. Now, I also want to think about the Eiffel Tower, because that gives me +2 appeal on all of my tiles, which does scale my national parks. So let's see if I can find a flatland tile adjacent to a city centre in a city that has a reasonable amount of production. And you know what? There are not a lot of candidates available. Just because I had so little actual land tiles this game, I think the only real candidate is over here. So this will be my Eiffel Tower city, and we do want the Eiffel Tower. These are, Eiffel Tower is an important wonder. So let's get researching the bottom half of the tech tree. We're done with the top half of the tech tree, unless I wanted to go airplanes and to kill someone, which I don't. This is what we call the top half tourism rush, where you basically skip all of the bottom half of the tech tree technologies and you rush straight for computers. And now we want to backfill for things like the Eiffel Tower and the biosphere. So that's going to be the direction that we head now. Now, PP Kisses. This is a wonderful city. Let's talk about the development of this city a little bit. It's fully developed in many dimensions. It's just missing a little bit of something. Yeah, I think I'll just build up my arena with a little bit of amenities, a little bit of tourism, and then I'll grab myself a broadcast center to maximize my tourism or my culture output. Now I have the... Oh, yes, this is big. Now I have the envoys to go to maxed out with the city-states so I can hit that all-important tier 3. And I do have a couple of envoys left over to re-grab candy and keep my faith production really, really high. This turn right here is a critical turn, because it's where a lot of friendships are going to renew, but also the city of Edinburgh has flipped to me. And I will be keeping it, by the way, because that's worth era score. And I do want to get the Golden Age this era. There's also a few other things that I'm working on, like getting my seaside resorts up, getting a little bit of extra era score. Edinburgh is a prime city that I'm going to work on developing here in the next turn or two. I will quickly buy myself a builder in here. Let's have a little bit of a think about what we do. Yeah, I think this city can justify... Actually, this can be a city where I go for a commercial hub rather than a harbour. Maybe go for a commercial hub and a harbour. But I definitely want a commercial hub in here because I need to actually generate just a scooch of great merchant points so that I can be slightly competitive for these, because these are really, really old great merchants, and I need to be pumping great merchant points out of this city. And to that end, I'll need a couple of builders in here. We've actually fully completed the city. This city is essentially finished. It only has a few late game buildings to pop in. So now we can start doing theater square festivals to generate insane amounts of great people points. But the other critical thing about this turn is it's the turn before Wilhelmina will choose whether or not to continue denouncing me. So I'm gonna avoid giving her luxuries because I don't want to boost her empire. She'll have to get them herself. But if I give her a gift that's plus 10 favorable trade deals, and maybe that might be just enough to prevent the repeated denouncement. And that's super important because she is the person that I need to be generating tourism against. So how the tourism victory kind of works here is that when you are generating tourism, you generate a baseline amount of tourism, and then that's applied against every single person individually. So if I can get open borders with Wilhelmina and improve my relationship with Wilhelmina, I'll be able to actually bring down the total number of tourists she has, which will bring down the total number of tourists I need to earn and make my life much more easy from a tourism perspective. So that's why it's so important that upon this renewal, she does not decide to continue hating me. This is why it's also super important that I renew my friendships with these two players immediately and get the mutual open borders. Now, the mutual part of the open borders is probably not necessary, but it does seem to improve your relationship with them. And let's see. She's willing to trade with me. That's amazing. Okay, it's a step in the right direction. Japan wants a research alliance. I'm going to refuse that for now because I really want an alliance. I will take a research alliance with Scotland. Like, that's a reasonable thing to do. But I want to get her relationship up just that little bit. Okay, so this is a key moment here. We get mutual open borders. I give her a little. She gives me a little cash. She's happy with the favorable trade deals. Resident embassy was allowed. That's huge. So now our total relationship points with her. I wonder how I get that to update. Can I force a UI update by clicking a tile? No, it's still... I think I need to do an end turn for that to refresh. However, on that note, diplomacy has been worked out. We are 2 civics away from getting rock band spam and potentially rushing down a victory here. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.